parish roll is the list of people who are eligible to take part in the annual church meeting, stand as members of the church council, or nominate and vote for people to that position. Anyone who lives in the parish or comes to church regularly can join the electoral roll. This year, 2022, there were 120 people on the electoral roll, 2 people left and 2 people joined.
This is the Parish Church Council Secretary's Report from David Jousey for 2021 to 2022. So the PCC is formed of a number of ex officio and directly elected members. The ex officio members include our clergy, Richard and William, our churchwardens, who are currently Ava and Faye, our reader, Gloria, and our Deanery Synod reps, who are Adam and Jamie. The directly elected members are myself, David Jousey, Malcolm Kemp, Jim Maddox, Alice Odasunya, Gary Sutcliffe, Georgie Snyder, Nicole Lyon, Andy Tunde, and we also have currently 4 vacancies. The term of the office is for 3 years, and this year there's 3 of us who are retiring by rotation, which is myself, Jim and Georgie. So what does the PCC do? Well, basically we oversee all aspects of our church fellowship and the main building, church grounds and the community hall, our finances, our policies, and we also support and encourage our leadership and ministry teams, and we plan to meet around 8 to 9 times each year. Across the church fellowship we've got many ministry teams, from mission partners through to men and women's group and hospital ministry, and we try and encourage and support all of those through the year. So what's our church been up to during the past year? Well, you'll hear separately reports from our churchwarden and finance officer. I will include here the broader things that the PCC has also been doing as well. So the updates in the ministry groups I mentioned before, well, normally we hear through the year what's been going on. In these strange times, we obviously appreciate a number of groups haven't been able to restart their activities fully, but it's been interesting to hear those that have been able to, and the plans are being made to make things safe. Community money, we continue to support all they do here at Holy Trinity and also at the Mosaic Centre as well. Live streaming and the new sound desk have happened, so the PCC has been involved with planning, installing, setting up that and in training the volunteers. Phase 4 is very much continuing activity, and the PCC monitors the funding and progress of that. Home groups, we currently have 3 home groups. We support and encourage the youth and their leaders. And shared admin is something that is very important in our church. And you're probably aware that Jim has done many of our admin roles over many years, and we've been reviewing over the last year how we can share that better around all of us and help lighten the load for everybody. So the final few things then, we do an annual funding pledge to support our diocese. We continue to support our mission partners, and those are currently Linda and Jean-Claude in France, Peace and Hope in Latin America, Eagles in Malawi, the Tessie Orphanage in Ghana, and the Prison Fellowship here in London. Our Road to Return is one of Richard's great phrases that he came up with. Basically, has been putting in place plans to return to meeting in church and all our groups meeting back up following lockdown. And that's been a huge undertaking to restart activities and put plans in place and gradually review them so we can get back to meeting each other in a safe manner. Memorial Garden, we reviewed and approved a proposal for a memorial garden which will go next to the church hall, and that will start after the phase 4 drains have been dug. And the final thing on the list here, not to forget, is health and safety and safeguarding. Very important things, and the PCC is responsible for the risk assessments and policies for those, and that covers all the activities that go in our church. And that's the Secretary's report. Thank you very much.
You have graced this world with your forgiveness. have turned the tables with a kiss. You have laid your life down and you say, now follow me. You will find me with the least of these.
Hi, Jim. I will never forget a conversation with you early in my incumbency at Tulse Hill when you said to me, I love doing administration. Jim, I am so grateful for your chairing of the governing body of Holy Trinity School, your chairing of PCC meetings, and at the same time you were also organising a summer Christian camp with others, and your diligence in all the responsibilities and burdens of being a brilliant churchwarden. Thank you for your spiritual vitality also, leading a home group with Shara and helping to ensure that all the admin stuff was there to facilitate ministry and mission of the brothers and sisters brought together by God at Holy Trinity and St. Matthias. My love and thanks to you and Shara, and greetings to all your lovely family. Bless you.
To be like you, full of compassion, to be like you, Jesus, to do as you do, to love without measure, to be like you, Jesus.
Hello everyone, I'm Ava and I've been churchwarden for a year now. It's an interesting role and can be quite challenging. It involves some stuff up front, which really isn't my favourite thing, but also quite a lot behind the scenes, including looking after the building, keeping up to date with information wanted by the diocese, and chasing other people to do things. This year we've tried to get organised with keeping files and records at church so that they are in a more central place. We have also set up a churchwarden's email address which can stay constant even when new wardens are elected. As Jim has retired, we've also taken over buying the ongoing supplies for the church building. There have been some big improvements to our church this year. Not least, the renewal of our lighting carried out by 10 out of 10, and the installation of our high-quality live streaming and CCTV system, which was done in-house. Our live stream continues to be appreciated on a weekly basis and is also offered as an extra service for weddings and funerals. So far, this offer has been taken up twice. Last April, there seemed to be some movement in the church building, probably due to the clay soil expanding and contracting. We had this thoroughly investigated by a specialist surveyor recommended by our church architect, and were told there was nothing to be worried about. Later on in 2021, Karen Botti, our architect, undertook the quinquennial inspection, which looks at all aspects of the church building every 5 years. We are still awaiting her report, which is a little frustrating. But as the saying goes, no news is good news. Hopefully anyway. One problem we are yet to get to the bottom of is the large number of flies that keep appearing, particularly in the church tower office. This has been a long-term problem, and we're still working towards an effective and hopefully lasting solution. Looking ahead, our boilers have been on their last legs for several years now, and finally need replacing. Sadly, there's no viable alternative to gas power for our church building at this point in time. We can cover the replacement from our reserves, but we are also making this the subject of our 2022 Trinity Gift Day so as to lessen the impact. It's been a privilege to serve as Churchwarden, and I hope I can continue.
Jim, hope all is well. I'm glad to understand that you are retiring from the PCC. I wish you all best and every happiness and all God's blessing behind you. Thank you from Stephanie and her family.
Hi there, church family. I am Faye Morris, one of the church wardens and also the safeguarding officer for Holy Trinity Church. Holy Trinity remains a safe church by all means, as we ensure all persons who are volunteers within the church and ministry leaders are all DBS checked, which means disclosure and barring service. It has been 3 years since we have come together as a community. So what has happened? Obviously not forgetting COVID, which is still around, but not as prevalent as it used to be. So since within the last year, I have completed and passed the Church of England safeguarding training, which further confirms reasons why doing the training was important, and so that our practices within the church is safe ministry practices, as we strive to continue to be a safe church. In regards to Holy Communion, we have taken steps, as you have noticed, that bread is the only thing that is being broken at communion, as we await a final decision of sharing the cup of wine by the Church of England. There has been no incidents of concerns regarding safeguarding at Holy Trinity Church. There have been minor things, but it's literally just reminding all ministry leaders about safety and the safety of our children and older members of the church. There is, however, many DBS checks that will need renewal in the coming months. So I will be in touch soon to discuss and update our records. That's the end of safeguarding. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name's Sam, and I've been asked to try and condense 40 years into 40 seconds. I'm not sure how successful it will be. To some people, it was Jim Maddox, to others just Jim. But to my two sisters and I, it was Uncle Jim, or Godfather. But this wasn't just a title. While we played in and around the, at the time, slightly aging church building, he provided a guiding moral compass within a religious framework. Jim used to look after us and often needed to tell us to settle down, particularly me, but always with a twinkle in his eye. In the 90s, Jim and Shira used to run a Scripture Union camp on computing skills and electronics, which I attended, having lots of fun. Luckily, most of it was harmless. I don't think any of us at the time realised how these camps may have been forming at least some of the foundation stones of my electrical business, which is now helping me to pay Jim and Holy Trinity back. Happy retirement, Jim. A father, a godfather, and a friend.
You are moved to heal the broken-hearted. You have laid a table for a feast. You invite the outcast and you say, now come and eat. There's enough to fill your every need. You're enough to fill our every need.
Jim, the news that you're retiring takes me back to your warm welcome when I was a newbie in the parish, starting out on my first proper job after university. Do you remember inviting me to judge the cake competition at the 1980 garden fete when my flatmates came along to heckle? That was more fun than puzzling over the gift aid small donations tax rebate. You and Shira have been at the heart of the parish over all those years and 4 vicars. Thank you so much for helping me and so many others to belong here. God bless in your retirement.
Please can I start with a very big thank you to everyone who has contributed financially and in other ways to the life and mission of Holy Trinity. We depend on volunteers for what we do and for the finance needed for these activities. The structure of this year's PCC annual report and accounts has changed somewhat since last year to bring it in line with latest Charity Commission guidance. The first part of the document contains the PCC's report for 2021. This summarises the life of the Church over the year and how the PCC operates. The year was overshadowed by COVID-19. In spite of this, our key ministry activities continued, such as Sunday services, social club, Tulse Community Advice Centre, and our straw bale building project. The second part of the document provides more detail on our finances. Overall, our finances held up well despite COVID-19, in part because much of our income comes in the form of regular standing order donations. We also had a quite exceptional Trinity gift day, raising funds for the straw bale lift and the church lighting and live streaming. Shown here is a summary of our 2021 Statement of Financial Activities. Charity Commission requirements differentiate between restricted and unrestricted funds. A restricted fund is one where the donor has placed a restriction on how their donation is to be used. For example, money given to our Phase 4 appeal fund is restricted because the PCC is obliged to spend these donations on building our new straw bale community hall. In 2021, the majority of our income was restricted, most related to the straw bale build. Cumulatively, since that project started, we have spent around £600,000 on the build. Whether and how these costs get incorporated in the church accounts depends on whether the building is deemed consecrated. This is currently being looked into by the diocese. In the meantime, they have advised us to exclude its value from our accounts. We've done this via a designated straw bale building fund, out of which, in effect, come the build costs incurred during the year and into which, in effect, are transferred corresponding funds from our restricted Phase 4 fund. Most of the column titled Unrestricted Designated Funds relates to this straw bale fund. Most of the rest of our income and expenditure relates to our main fund, which forms the first column of this table, titled Unrestricted Undesignated Funds. At annual parochial church meetings, we tend to concentrate on this fund because it covers nearly all of the church's day-to-day activities and running costs. In 2021, main fund income exceeded expenditure by around £7,000. However, there are some one-off factors that flatter this comparison, such as a refund booked in 2021 that related to expenditure incurred in earlier years. Stripping these factors out, the picture is a small surplus. We're currently budgeting in 2022 for around a 4 to 5% increase in expenditure for this fund, and are hoping and praying that there will be a similar increase in income into it, despite the financial challenges some of our regular givers may be facing. The next slide contains charts that provide breakdowns of income and expenditure for this fund in 2021. The income chart highlights the high proportion of main fund income that comes from donations and income tax reclaimed on these donations. If you give to the church and pay income tax, but haven't yet given us a gift aid declaration allowing us to reclaim income tax on your giving, then please speak to Peter Andrews, our gift aid officer, or to me to discuss why it helps if you do so. The expenditure chart highlights the high proportion of the main fund expenditure that goes to the Diocesan Parish Support Fund. This is the mechanism that the diocese uses to provide for clergy costs, such as the salary paid to Richard, and other diocesan-wide activities. Looking forward, we're expecting in the near future to have to replace our church boilers. Some but not all of the costs involved will likely be picked up by our building fund. This is another restricted fund that church members have very kindly contributed to in the past. It amounted to around £33,000 at the end of 2021, but has been drawn down further since then to allow us to complete our lighting renewal. Further details on all our funds are contained in the notes to the accounts. Can I finish by giving thanks to God for his amazingly rich provision, and again by thanking you for your generosity and support during 2021, both financial and non-financial.
Okay, Jim, I'm glad to be a part of this. Wishing you well on your retirement and going back over the many years that we were churchwarden together, the different hats you wore, and it was a pleasure being a churchwarden with you. We have many prayer times together, Bible studies. You were a part of the Scripture Union summer camp. You had a busy schedule, but you were still praising the Lord. And I just hope that everything goes okay for you now, that you will rejoice and be comforted by the Lord as you live your daily life. Blessings to you at this time.
Hi, I'm Adam West, and this is the Deanery Synod report for Holy Trinity APCM, May 2022. Due to various circumstances, there haven't been any Deanery Synod meetings in the past year to report on. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about Deanery Synod. So a Deanery is a group of churches, in our case Lambeth South, with 15 churches, including Holy Trinity. And a synod is just a committee or a regular meeting in the Church of England. Each church in the Deanery has a number of representatives, in our case 3, Jamie Loban, myself, Adam West, and a vacancy, which would be quite keen for someone to join us in representing Holy Trinity. The synod is a valuable space for churches in that area to make contact, to share experiences, knowledge, and to come together to have a service and a little bit of worship regularly through the year. If you're interested in being a representative to the Deanery Synod, please let myself or Richard or any of the other PCC know. Thank you very much.
To be like you, full of compassion, to be like you, Jesus.
Jim. This is Brian saying thank you very much for all the memories you've left with us over the years. Particularly, we'd like to say thank you for your entertaining stories about your canal trips when you used to go on your own personal holidays. We thank you for being a councillor on the parish council and the fantastic work you did in learning all the stuff you have to learn about the pastoral measures and church rules and regulations. We thank you for the coach parties you used to organise for Spring Harvest and all church holidays, which you did quite a few of. Spring Harvest you did for about 20 years. Thank you very much. I remember the first 2 or 3 when we had 2 coaches and upwards of 100 people on one occasion. I also remember, Jim, that you were very good and very keen on cricket, particularly the West Indies and Surrey, when you were torn as to which side you would support. Thank you very much, Jim, for all your confidence and your support that you gave to myself as at one time a secretary to the council, and all your support in keeping the church going when there was just a few of us diehards left, like Joe Gay and a few others. And I thank you for continuing from the stalwart years of Barrett or Wendon and Walter Broom. You carried on their tradition very well. Thank you very much.
To help out. Thank you for all the love that you've shown, and thank you for helping with the senior citizens group, booking our coaches and everything. You were in the PCC, but now you were on the SCC. Your whole life was about the school, the church and the community, and I thank you for all that you've done. If I had a gold nugget, I wouldn't give it to you. Why? Because you already got a heart of gold. So thank you so much. Keep in touch. I'll miss you.
To do as you do, to love without measure, to be like you, Jesus.
Well, that's our report for 2021, and thank you to everyone who made this film possible. Thank you also to everyone who makes church possible from week to week, because there is so much goes in to making church simply run. Having said that, I would say that 2021 has been the most challenging year of my ministry so far. There has been so much struggle in so many different ways for so many people. And yet, as I look at this picture of the cross, which is on our communion table every week, I realize that struggle, sacrifice, and commitment is at the heart of our Christian faith. And then we also remember that on the third day, God raised Jesus from the dead, so there is rejoicing to come. Now I want to conclude by saying a couple of words about Jim. Jim, at my institution, you said a little speech at the meal, and you said, Richard, we will love you, we will support you. And after that, my brother-in-law said to me, I liked what that old boy said. Who was he? The churchwarden. Well, Jim, now you're an even older boy, and I want to thank you for these last 12 years of your love and your support. It has been quite remarkable to learn from you in so many ways and to see your commitment to Christ shining through. So thank you for the last 12 years, and thank you also for the last 49 years of service on PCC, many of which were as church warden and parish administrator and operations manager, and in so many other roles. And I pray that in this time of retirement that you'll know yourself being very close to God and God close to you. So God bless you, and God bless all of the congregation here at Holy Trinity. Thank you for your love and commitment and support. Amen.
To do as you do, to love without measure, to be like